The channel is officially 3 years old, and so I wanted to do something special and give you guys something that I think is long overdue. My season ranking for the infamous, game-changing fantasy show, Game of Thrones, but with a twist. With House of the Dragon premiering later this month, confirmation for the Jon Snow spin-off series, and the ever-present looming hope that we get another book within George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, I've been super hyped about the show and been looking for a reason to dive back into the world of Westeros. However, today's ranking comes with a bit of a twist because we'll not only be looking at my ranking, but also that of critics, and more importantly, yours. That's right, we're doing things showdown style, but enough talk, let's get started. Round 1 will consist of the critic scores for each season, and we'll be looking at 3 of the most reputable and well-known sources, those being Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, and IMDb. We'll be looking at the scores for each season as well as the highest rated and lowest rated episodes of the show's run, allowing each season to gain points as well as lose points along the way. So starting off with Rotten Tomatoes, Season 1 earned a 90%, Season 2 and 3 both received 96%, Season 4 came out with a 97%, and Season 5, 93, Season 6, 94, Season 7, 93, and Season 8, a rotten 55%. So Season 4 comes out on top with a 97%, however Season 2 and 3 were nail-bitingly close as well, with Season 3 tying Season 4 with a 97% audience score. So I'm going to award Season 4 with 3 points, Season 3 with 2 points, and Season 2 with 1 point. I'm tempted to let Season 8 lose a single point right here and now just because it had the only rotten score. However, something tells me it's not going to do too well in future rounds and categories, so I'll leave it alone for now. Moving on to Metacritic, Season 1 earned a Metascore of 80, Season 2 received 90, Season 3 got 91, and Season 4 got 94. But Season 5 got 91, Season 6 73, Season 7 77, and Season 8 75. So Season 4 comes out on top again, with Season 3 trailing close behind it with the same user score. So again, I'm going to award Season 4 with 2 points and Season 3 with 1 point. And lastly, let's see what IMDb gives. We'll be looking at the top 5 rated episodes as well as the bottom 5. Each season will be able to gain a point for each episode it has in the top 5, but it'll lose 1 point for each episode it has in the bottom 5. Here are the results. The highest rated episode is a 3-way tie between the Season 6 finale, The Winds of Winter, as well as Season 6's The Battle of the Bastards and Season 3's The Reigns of Castamere. Following them is Season 5's Hardhome and Season 7's The Spoils of War. So Season 6 will receive 2 points, while Seasons 3, 5, and 7 will each earn 1. And looking at the lowest rated episodes, we have basically all of Season 8. I looked a little bit higher, and sure enough, the other Season 8 episode is the 7th lowest rated, with a Season 5 episode closing the gap. But it's fair to say Season 8 is the clear loser of this round, having received no points and losing 5 here with IMDb's scores. So at the end of round 1, here are the totals. Season 4 has the lead with 5 points, followed closely behind by Season 3 with 4 points, and Season 8 is in dead last with -5 points. Moving on to round 2, I'll be sharing my ranking for the show quite briefly. I'm not as well versed in Game of Thrones lore as others in the fandom. That will come as I make my way through the A Song of Ice and Fire series and rewatch the show multiple times, but I just wasn't involved in the theorizing and fan speculation while the show was on air. So, simply put, my ranking is certainly not the end-all be-all correct one. It's just how I felt coming out of binging the show with no one whispering in my ear what I should love and what I should hate. So, at the top, I also have Season 4. I thought Tyrion's journey and his arc here was spectacular. He's always been able to weasel himself out of anything, as we saw with the very beginning of the show when Catelyn took him as prisoner, and he not only got away, but gained one of his most trusted allies, Bronn, in the process. But watching him have to maneuver the political games in King's Landing after the sweet demise of Boy King Joffrey was riveting from start to finish for me. Meanwhile, Daenerys' arc takes a bit of a backseat as she halts her plans to conquer Westeros, instead choosing to rule and free all of Slaver's Bay. There are some great moments for her in this season, but it's not as exciting as what's to come in my opinion. However, who can talk about Season 4 without mentioning Jon Snow? He is certainly a fan favorite and for a reason, and Season 4 definitely allows him to show his stuff, focusing on the inevitable clash between the Wildlings and Castle Black. Coming in at number 2, I have Season 6. I know some people aren't as crazy about this season and largely started hating on it after the failure of Season 8 for them, but as a first-time viewer with no one being there to criticize it for me, I really enjoyed it. The season felt like it was the season of payoffs that had that slow burn effect Game of Thrones is known for, but ending with the Battle of the Bastards and the Winds of Winter, this season offers a tremendous ending and a great tease and setup for the final seasons. Now, the High Sparrow storyline does linger a bit too much for me, but after a slow Season 5, this one did really ramp up the tension and the stakes for me, and it's one of the seasons that I binged through the quickest. But taking my number 3 spot is Season 3. I feel like all I really need to say here is Red Wedding, and people would agree. I mean, that scene is gut-wrenching, it is horrifying, and yet it's also somewhat super satisfying. I hate rewatching it as Rob was one of my favorites, and yet I can't really take my eyes away either. This season continues to set up arcs and characters and world-building elements like the ones before it, but it also gives some of the biggest surprises and the greatest payoffs. Next up at number 4 is Season 2. After a fantastic introduction to the world and its characters, Season 2 ramps things up, introducing Stannis Baratheon, Davos Seaworth, and the Red Woman, as well as giving Stannis' brother Renly a bigger part in the War for the Iron Throne. I love the symbolism and character perspective surrounding the Red Comet in the beginning of this season. They all have their own interpretations of what it means, and it all makes sense given who they are and what they know. The season also gives us more magic within the world, paying tribute to the saying from the first season that when the dragons left, the magic went with them. And here we see the return of dragons, and thus the return of things like the terrifying magic of the House of the Undying, wildfire, and the Red Woman's dark magic with the Lord of Light. There's a great slow burn effect throughout the season as we inch towards conflict, and ending with the Battle of Blackwater Bay makes for a fantastic season. But coming in at number 5 is Season 1, the one that started it all. While this season is a little bit lower budget than the others, the quality is still there, setting up the Wall and the White Walkers behind it, Winterfell and its lords and ladies, King's Landing and its political players, and Daenerys, a lost girl who is akin to the Mad King Targaryen. It's a great story of trust and betrayal, beginnings and endings, and while it's lighter on action than I would have liked, it sets up the greater conflict both within the kingdom and outside it spectacularly. Moving on to number 6 through 8, things get a bit muddy here, so I'm just going to share my thoughts on these final seasons together. For Season 5, it was just so slow. It took the slow burn a bit too seriously and forgot about the actual burn part. While I loved seeing Cersei get her comeuppance, it largely felt like the writers were trying to stall this season as they scrambled in the background trying to figure out what they were going to do afterwards, given that they were about to run out of source material. Sansa's arc is good, but it's also so heartbreaking that it's hard to watch at times. But hey, at least Theon starts to get some redemption after his time as a tortured prisoner. Now, I did appreciate the bigger moments like Hardhome and Daenerys taking down the Harpies, but this season felt like a lot of setup for the back half of the show, and it felt slow because of it. As for Season 7, I know most people despise this one and blame its shortcomings for the atrocity that was Season 8, but as a first-time viewer, I didn't notice half of the things that people were complaining about. I'll have to give it another watch to really see for myself whether certain criticisms are all that noticeable, but for me, this gave some fantastic moments such as Littlefinger's demise and the coming of Daenerys in the loot train attack. It's a lighter and shorter season, that's to be sure, and that's certainly one of its biggest weaknesses, but it's also one of its biggest strengths. And it finally delivers some long-anticipated plot points, most notably Dany's return to Westeros. And lastly, Season 8. Now, personally, I didn't have all that negative of a reaction to Season 8. I've seen fan theories and alternative endings written by fans post-watching that were better, but for me, Daenerys' ending is very in line with the show and with her character. Again, she is akin to the Mad King, and with all the symbolism throughout the show surrounding the Targaryens, I just simply wasn't all that surprised by it. It made sense to me. Now, there's a lot that didn't make sense and that could have been better, but the criticisms surrounding Dany's arc don't feel that valid to me. Now, The Long Nights has some great things going for it, but for me, it was so dark that it did hamper my enjoyment while watching. And I don't mean it was dark thematically, I mean it was literally hard to see what was happening on screen. Now, I've heard the artsy people say before, like, oh, well, that's how they felt during the battle. But yeah, I don't care. Big surprise, but I actually want to see the giant conflict that the entire show has been leading up towards. I know there was some production hell going on with this season, but cheaping out on lighting is a cardinal sin for me. So again, I don't want this video's ranking to depend all that much on my personal ranking, so I'm only going to award a single point to my top 3 seasons, which are seasons 4, 6, and 3. Let me know if you guys agree down in the comments below. It is too late to count your points, but I still want to hear from y'all. So at the end of round 2, my ranking brings our total tally up a bit for the top 3 seasons so far, with no change for the rest. However, it is still a tight race for the top, so let's hear what the fans have to say. Which brings us to the third and final round, where we will be looking at feedback from the fans. I posted here on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Reddit. However, unfortunately, nobody replied to my videos or my shorts here on YouTube or on TikTok. So this is all coming from Reddit, which is a total cesspool. However, that said, I was starting to see a pattern. First off, I asked people for their season rankings. I took their tallies and averaged out each season, so here is the average ranking for each season from the fans. Going from the best to the worst, we have of course season 4, followed by seasons 3, 2, and 1, then season 6, season 5, and season 7 and 8 tied for dead last. So I'm going to award season 4 with 4 points, season 3 with 3 points, season 2 with 2 points, and season 1 with 1 point. I want all the top half seasons to have some representation from the fans. Now, as for season 7 and 8, which tied for dead last, I am going to take it 1 point away from each of them. It doesn't really matter at this point, however, we're still going to do it for good measure. Lastly, for this round, I asked people what their favorite battle was from the show, or at least what battle they thought was best. I got a lot of responses, especially repeats, so I hand counted every upvote. Here are the results. The overall census is that Season 6's The Battle of the Bastards is the best with 188 upvotes in total. But runner-up is Season 4's The Watchers on the Wall, which came in at 113 upvotes in total. Season 5's Hardhome and Season 2's Battle of Blackwater Bay received 69 and 65 upvotes respectively, and Season 8's The Long Night received 54 upvotes, with Season 7's Loot Train Attack getting only a few mentions with 12 upvotes in total. And lastly, Season 1 came in dead last, with 7 people agreeing that it was the worst battle in the show's run. Season 3 received 0 upvotes, 0 mentions, because there wasn't really a battle in it. There were a few skirmishes and a few fights, but the Red Wedding isn't a battle, it's a straight up slaughter. So for this category, I'll be awarding Season 6 with 3 points, Season 4 with 2, and Seasons 2, 5, and 8 with a single point, as they were all fairly close together. And I'll be taking away 1 point from Season 1 for having the worst battle in the show, according to the fans. Before I share the final results, don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying the video so far. I would love to do more of these showdown rankings. However, I only want to do them if people are enjoying them. Which brings our final tally to the following. Starting at the bottom, Season 8 ends with a terrible -5 points. Season 7 and 1 tie at 0 points. And then comes Season 5 with 2 points, Season 2 with 4 points, Season 6 with 6 points, Season 3 with 8 points, and our winner for this showdown, the king to claim the Iron Throne, is Season 4 with 12 points. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I certainly had a blast making it, revisiting Westeros and seeing what the critics and the fans alike had to say about it. And overall, I think the ranking makes sense. Seasons 4, 6, and 3 were the clear winners across the board, and those were my favorites as well. And I definitely wasn't surprised to see Season 8 at the bottom. However, I was surprised to see Season 1 so low. I certainly liked it more than Seasons 5 and 7, but hey, that's just me. Let me know what you guys think about this final ranking down in the comments below. Let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with, and I'll meet you guys down there so we can keep talking Game of Thrones. I'd also love to hear how hyped you guys are for House of the Dragon, so give me a number 1 through 10 in the comments below, with 10 being that you're gonna die if you have to wait a single second longer to watch this show. And while you're down there, give me your guess for when you think George R.R. Martin's going to give us The Winds of Winter, which most people don't know is actually not his planned final book. That would be A Dream of Spring. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get that. Anyways, I've been talking far too long at this point. I'm already starting to lose my voice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and a special thanks to all of you who contributed on Reddit for this ranking. I appreciate y'all, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.